Hello, my name's Melinda and welcome back to my channel. On my channel, I like to focus on everything dealing with high functioning autism. In today's video, I want to focus on managing autism behaviors. In the video, we're going to discuss identifying triggers for behaviors, ways to de-escalate those behaviors, and then reviewing lessons learned from those behaviors. If this sounds like something of interest to you, then please continue to watch this video. And also please share this video with anybody who you think might benefit from this type of content. With autistic kids, aggression is often the way the autistic child communicates a need. And aggression is often one of the top challenges reported by parents of autistic kids. That's why it's very important to be able to learn how to manage autistic behaviors. With autism behaviors, there are three main ways that those behaviors are managed. The first is with therapy, and most of the time that is ABA therapy. And through ABA therapy, it teaches the child new and effective ways to communicate their needs. The second way to manage those autism behaviors is with medication. And medication focuses on reducing the aggression or self-injury that the child may be causing or experiencing. And the third way is through prevention. And prevention focuses on creating a calm, predictable, and rewarding environment for the child. In this video, I want to focus on that third pillar of prevention. One of the things that can trigger an autism behavior is a break in their normal routine. Autistic kids thrive on predictability and having a regular routine that they know what's happening. So when their regular routine is disrupted or something happens unexpectedly, especially something that they do not enjoy or do not feel like they know how to manage, then it tends to lead to increased autism behaviors. Another thing that can lead to increased autism behaviors is a lack of sleep. When an autistic child does not get enough rest at night, they are not able to manage and deal with the things day to day. And so it's easy for them to become overwhelmed, even with things that are normal in their routine, because they didn't get enough rest. So simple everyday activities become a bit too much for them to manage. Jarring sensory stimuli can also trigger autism behaviors. For example, if you go somewhere and it has too many lights, or the noises are too loud for your child, or even if there's too many smells and they find it to be overwhelming, this can trigger behaviors in an autistic child. For my boys, the public restroom, the noise that it made when it flushed was overwhelming for them. So when the toilet would flush, because that noise was too much and it was jarring to their system, it typically led to them having some type of meltdown or getting upset. Similarly, an undiagnosed mental health disorder can also trigger autism behaviors. So for example, a child that has anxiety, but it hasn't been diagnosed or treated, if they're in a situation where they feel like they feel stressed or they feel like it's too much for them to handle, then it can trigger them to have a meltdown or be aggressive because they feel anxious in that situation. So that's why it's very important as a parent that we're not only dealing with the autism, but that we're also dealing with any additional mental health disorders in our children. So what are the things we can do as a parent if we start to notice that our child is being triggered, or things that are happening that are about to make them become aggressive? What are things we can do to help de-escalate that situation so it doesn't turn into a full meltdown or the child becoming aggressive? Well, one of the things we can do is we can identify and remove any sensory triggers. So for example, if you're in a place that is super loud or noisy, then you could remove the child from the room or leave the situation. Or say, like I said, like me with my kids in the public restroom where the toilets are flushing super loud, then I can quickly have them wash their hands and get out of the bathroom. By removing them from that stimuli, then it can help de-escalate the situation and make it where they don't feel so overwhelmed. Another thing that you can do is you can try to distract the child. And this tends to be more helpful if you tend to notice it pretty early that they're starting to be triggered and something is happening. You can distract them. What the distraction does is it helps to get their mind off of whatever is going on to make them start to feel uncomfortable or bothered by the situation. So an example of this could be maybe you have to change up their routine and you see them starting to get upset that you're telling them something is happening new. Then you can say, hey, and you can remind them, hey, let's talk about that show that you like. What happened at school today? And maybe distract their mind to something or a happier thought or a happier situation. So they're not able to stay focused on the one thing that is making them upset or making them feel out of sorts. Another thing we can do as parents is make our children feel safe. So letting them know in that environment that we are there to support them, that they're not alone, that we're there as much as they need us to be in that situation. Sometimes by knowing that we're there and that they're not alone, it helps to remind them and helps them to be able to view the entire situation instead of having tunnel vision to the one thing that is making them feel uncomfortable. Very important, and most important, I would say though, as a parent, that we can do to help de-escalate a situation is that we need to remain calm. The children can sense how we feel. So if we start to get upset, it does a couple things. It makes it where it's harder for us to think clearly and to think through the strategies that we can do to help them. But it also makes it where we tend to react more impulsively or do things which can in turn trigger our child to actually react more violently in a situation. When it comes to de-escalation, there are some additional things you can do verbally to help de-escalate a situation. You want to make sure that you're talking in a calming voice, that your voice is very calming, very soothing. You also want to speak in a quieter voice, not raising your voice and making it loud. This makes it where it's more relaxing for the child. It also makes sure that we're not jarring them with a voice that is too loud or too overwhelming for them at that moment. Another verbal technique to help de-escalate a situation is to explain every action that you're going to do before you do it. So say you feel like it'd be helpful to hold your child's hand. Make sure you explain that first to the child and say, hey, I'm going to hold your hand now so you feel safe. Because sometimes if we just act and don't explain what we're doing, it can actually make the child feel attacked or make them feel like something bad's going to happen, and then they respond more impulsively, which can then lead to more aggression or more outbursts. And so it has the adverse effect of what we want it to do. So that's why it's very important to verbally let them know first what action you're going to do before you do it. There are also some physical things that we can do to help de-escalate a situation with an autistic child. One of those things is to invest in a weighted blanket or a weighted vest. And what both of these things do is it helps, when you put them on the child, it helps to increase their body awareness. So then it applies mild pressure and helps them to feel the bodies. And so then they feel more control and are better able to relax or calm down in that situation. If you find though that it's still continuing to escalate and you want to further de-escalate it before it turns into a full-on aggression, then sometimes with that weighted blanket or another type of blanket, it is helpful to actually swaddle your child. But again, I would also combine this with the verbal tactic of talking to them first to let them know, hey, I'm going to do this, because if you just come at them with this blanket, they might feel attacked, which could lead to further aggression. But the act of swaddling the child or holding the child close in an embrace, even if it's just your arms, swaddling them with your arms, again, what it does is it increases that body awareness. So it helps the child to feel their own body, to feel calm, and to begin to relax into you and to relax in that situation. Sometimes, even with our best laid plans and intentions, our autistic children still end up being aggressive or having some type of meltdown. So after the child is melted down, once they've calmed down, an important factor to do is to review what has happened and to figure out lessons you can learn from this, so that way when future behaviors occur, you can put things in place to maybe prevent another behavior. When reviewing any type of autism meltdown or behavior, it's important to look back at the triggers to see if there were any specific ones that led to the meltdown even occurring. So this is when you want to look at things like whether any recent changes in their normal routine or any last minute transitions that they were not expecting. Did my child get adequate sleep last night, or did something happen where they didn't get the rest that they normally get? Were they in a situation or environment where they felt uncomfortable and maybe they were more anxious than normal? Does my child maybe have something else going on besides just autism? Are they dealing with something like anxiety? Or were they in an environment where it was too overwhelming? Maybe it was too loud and I forgot to bring their headphones. So you want to look back at things to see if there are any specific triggers that could have caused your child to even go into this meltdown. You also want to take note of the techniques you use to try to de-escalate the behavior, to see that way you're able to judge what was effective and what was not effective. So that way next time when you start to see that behavior is starting to escalate, you know which ones to use. So I know with one of my boys, when he was younger and he would start to escalate, he did very well to have a weighted vest, or he did well if you swaddled him. By doing this, again, it helped him have better body awareness. He felt safe and he would calm down. So that was very useful for one son, but this did not work well for my other son. If you attempted to try to touch him, he actually became more violent and he would fight back. With this child, it was better to talk to him, to be more calm, to explain what is happening in a situation, or even just try to be like, hey, what's going on? So talking to him was a more effective de-escalation technique. So it's very important, again, to assess the de-escalation techniques used so you can see what was effective, what was not effective. That way you know which ones you want to continue the next time. Well, all right, guys, that's all that I have for this video. I hope you found it useful, and hopefully you've learned some new ways to help manage autism behaviors. Again, autism behaviors is par for the course, and so being a parent of an autistic child, we realize that there are going to be times that our child feels out of sort or is not able to communicate their needs effectively. And that's why we need to be as prepared as possible to help them be able to manage and navigate that situation. If you've enjoyed this video, then please make sure to if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, why aren't you? Make sure to subscribe to my channel and comment down below. Are there any techniques that you use? Is there anything that you have found is helpful for you and your child when you're able to de-escalate them or when they're getting upset? Or are there any other triggers that you've noticed that make your child upset that maybe I didn't mention in this video? Comment down below because somebody else might find that information helpful. As always, I put out a video once a week on Sundays, so make sure to come back next week for a new video and share this video with anybody else who you feel like might benefit from its content. All right, guys, have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.